Mother's Day. I just want to say I'm blessed with an amazing mom. This morning was a little crazy. Sydney got sick, and we were like, Johnny and I were just kind of like, what do we do? Like, who's going to stay home? Like, which job is more important? I don't know. So I, of course, called my mom, because that's what we do when we don't know what to do. We call our moms. And she's like, oh, I'll stay home from church. I'll keep Sydney. And I'm like, really? It's Mother's Day, and you're going to watch your granddaughter? Oh, don't worry about it. And, they say life doesn't come with a handbook, but God did give you a mom. So she's always the one I call. I don't know how she can handle all her problems and all my problems and all my sister's problems. We throw a lot at her, and she's awesome. So God put this on my heart a while ago. I was doing a Bible study, like the U version. You can do those plans, which are really cool. You should look into it, because you can do them with other people. You can invite someone in, and then you can both write in there what you're thinking. It's a really fun way. But I was doing this with Johnny, actually, so we could make little comments on parenting. It was a parenting one, and this verse was part of the study, and wow, it hit me so hard. I wrote it on a 3x5 card. It's on my fridge, and it's 2 Corinthians 4:16 through 18. Therefore, we do not lose heart. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. Since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. And I thought it was kind of funny that I decided to title this Unseen, and then this morning I was like, oh, I'm probably not even going to go to church today, and Pastor will have to speak, and I'll be unseen. But I'm, again, thankful for my mom. She came through for me. But, this idea of being unseen, it's not exciting. It's not nice thought to be unseen, but a lot of moms feel like that. Like, we feel very underappreciated and unseen, and we have that mom guilt. There's a lot that goes on in our minds as moms. And I don't think it's always just a mom thing. Like, people in general, we want to be seen. We want what we do to be seen by others. And you'll see it at the playground. We'll take our kids to the playground, and Mom, watch this, Mom. And you have other things going, and you're kind of watching, and they know if you're not watching, because they're on their way to do something cool, and it's like they can't even do what they want to do because they're so concerned to make sure that you're seeing this. And even when I was little, I just remember, my mom was nearby. I'm like, hey, Mom, watch. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's got to be cool. So I, do some weird cartwheel or something, because you're excited to have someone see you do something great. And a lot of times, we can focus so much on being seen and the things that we see that we don't think about the unseen. And this verse encourages us to fix our eyes on the unseen. And what happens when we are so focused on the seen, we are on social media or Pinterest, and we're judged by how good of a selfie we can take. I'm terrible at selfies. I never take them. I look really strange. I don't know. It's like you want to look at yourself, but then you need to look at the camera, and then it's weird. Selfies are hard. So, you're judged by how you look and how cute your kids are, and if your house is decorated like Joanna Gaines did it. And it's overwhelming, and you're judging yourself by the world's standard, and you can never live up. There's always someone better. There's always someone cooler and more creative than you. And at the end of the day, you're just left with this disappointment because you can't measure up. And the enemy has us trapped here with our focus on what we can see. And I'm sure most of you moms can attest that some days at the end of the day, you haven't stopped. You've just go all day in your home. I don't even mean go 5 different places. I mean you haven't sat down and you've been at home all day. And then at the end of the day, you're like, it doesn't look like I did anything today because everything is trashed. It's hard, and you can't measure yourself by that because it just doesn't work. Something God put in my heart a long time ago when I was really overwhelmed with one of those like ugly days. Has anyone had an ugly day? No, not always. I hope it's not all the time. But one of those days when you're just like, did I gain 10 pounds last night? Because these clothes don't look right. You're just frustrated, and you're like trying to pull some sort of compliment out of your husband by not trying to sound too like needy. I don't know. It's hard. So I was feeling sorry for myself, and God put in my heart an old hymn that I learned when I was little, and that was to turn your eyes upon Jesus. Like, just turn your eyes upon Jesus. Look full in his wonderful face, and the things of earth will grow strangely dim in the light of his glory and grace. And I think that's kind of crazy that it says the things of earth will grow dim in the light of his glory and grace. Like, how does something grow dim when you're shedding more light on it? And it's because there's two different ways to see things. There's the seen and the unseen. When we focus on what we can see, we become jealous and feel bad for ourselves because we can't quite do it. We feel like we can't measure up, and we're like, I'm never going to be able to have that kind of house. We're never going to be able to afford it, and so you kind of feel like that's a little tick mark off of you because you can't quite do it. But when you look at the unseen and you look at the world, and you're like, oh my goodness, they need Jesus. Like, they need help. They need what I have. You're blinded by the fact that I'm jealous of something that I have. Like, how crazy. Because I'm focused so much on what I can see and what they have, I don't realize that they need what I have. Like, I can share with them something that will fulfill them so much more than repainting your bedroom or redecorating the kitchen or having a perfect body. It's so much more fulfilling. So we have to fix our eyes on the unseen, but we need to fix our eyes. So it says in Matthew 6:22 and 23, the lamp of the body is the eye. If, therefore, your eye is good, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If, therefore, the light that is in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? We know what a lazy eye is, right? When one eye is really strong and one eye is really weak, and the strong eye does all the work, and the weaker eye kind of wanders, and it doesn't focus, it doesn't stay where it's supposed to, it doesn't know how to be an eye anymore because it didn't have to be an eye for a long time. So they cover the strong eye to force that weak eye to see and to focus. And I think it's really cool that it's talking about an eye, because an eye opens and closes, even in your pupil, it gets bigger in the darkness, and your eye is the opening to your body to allow light in. And it's like a gate, like we talk about, we need to let the light of God in. And so for our physical bodies, it lets physical light in, but our spiritual bodies, we need the light of God, because when we can't see things spiritually, we will always choose the wrong solution. Like, man, my job, we need more money. I don't get paid enough. I need a new job. Well, maybe the problem really isn't your job. Maybe it's how you're spending your money, or that you're not trusting God with your money. So if we aren't seeing things spiritually, we won't choose the right direction. And if your spiritual eyes are open to receive from God what he has for you, you will be fulfilled. So if your physical eyes, what you can see, are stronger than your spiritual eyes, then your spiritual eyes will grow weak. Your faith will be weak because you're seeing everything in the natural and not realizing that there's another reason behind this. There's something deeper here. There's something deeper to my anger problem. And when you can see things for what they are, you can start to solve the problem. And in order to, so I'm talking all about all this seen and unseen, like how do we practically walk this out? And there are like a lot of solutions, I'm sure, but the main solution I feel like is to plan your priorities. It's really quick and easy to say what our priorities are. Like we have in our head what our priorities are, but how we live our day is really what shows our priorities. So we all know that we want our priorities to be God, spouse, children, right? Like that's all what we're striving for. And then after that, maybe work, ministry, things like that. But what we do every day is proof. And do any of you look at your screen time for your phone? Like if you go in settings and you can see what your screen time is. Or sometimes you can get like the weekly report. I get those on Sunday, like Sunday morning, and I'm like, I'm convinced there's something wrong with my phone. Maybe it stays on all night and racks up. No, I had like 3 hours of screen time. I'm like, how am I on my phone for 3 hours? Like, this is insane. It's hard to believe, but apparently I have some work to do because my phone is a pretty high priority. Clearly, the hours show it. So if we say that God is number one on our priority list, we have to spend some time with God, right? Like, you can't spend your whole day and not anything with God and, what are your priorities? Oh, God's my priority. Like, just let's be real, And in order to have that priority, it has to be more than what you're just saying. You have to plan it. Like, a lot of times, I'll be doing something that is not God, spouse, children. It's something different, like a project. And I am so busy with that, and I'm so unprepared for an interruption that when an interruption comes, I'm just like, no, you gotta wait. You gotta wait. I'm doing this. Just a minute. And then, the poor kids just wander off and forget what they even wanted. And so when we plan for those interruptions, when at the beginning of your day, you're going to be like, okay, I have this to do today, but if Johnny needs something, if my kids need something, I'm going to be ready. I'm going to be ready for that interruption because in reality, how could a priority ever really be considered an interruption, right? Like, what's really the interruption here? If my priority is my husband and my kids, then I think my phone is probably what is considered the interruption, right? So if you're planning, I don't need to turn that yet. If you're planning to spend time on the unseen things, you have to be intentional. You have to be ready to lay down what you're doing. And this week was hard. Like, there were interruptions this week for me. I had plans. I was wanting to spring clean the house. And I successfully dug everything out. I didn't get any further. And so my house is messier than it should be. And like Sydney, like I'm sad to say that in my head it was an interruption. Her teacher called and said, Sydney's wheezing. And she does have some allergies, she's running around a lot. It's cold air. So, okay, we pack everybody up and take her breathing treatments to school. And she's just sitting in the office taking her breathing treatment, smiling at me. I'm like, oh, are you feeling better? Yeah, I feel good. I'm like, okay, good, so send her back to class. The next day, exact same time, Sydney's wheezing again. And I'm like, she hasn't even done anything yet. She walked off the bus and that's it. But this time, I didn't really want to sit in the office again doing the breathing treatment, so I wanted to get her inhaler, which was in Johnny's truck. So I had to run to get her inhaler from him, and run to the school, and I get there, and she's like, I feel a lot better. Like, oh, good. Glad you feel better. So that was hard for me. It's hard for me to lay down my stuff because, man, I love getting stuff done. I get so excited at like a list that has everything crossed off. It's just like, I did it. I achieved my goal. And I mean, I'll definitely, if something's not on my list that I just had to go do, I'll be like, take Sydney her inhaler. Crossed off. Like, I did it. I got to cross something off today. But, you know, when we have a priority, when we know that something is important, we have to intentionally know that we're going to have to lay something of ours down. We have to be selfless. And it's almost cruel to say this to moms, to tell you to be selfless, because it feels like we have been plenty selfless. But we can do better. We can do more. Because at the end of the day, if any of you are like me, you'll sit down and you'll be like, I missed it. Parker started sharing something with me, and I jumped right in and corrected him, you know, or I didn't listen when Logan wanted to tell me that really, really, really long story. I don't even know what it was about, you know. You know, and at the end of the day, you're just like, man, I got to do better. But if you're not being intentional about planning for these priorities, you'll fail every time because you have to set your mind on the unseen things, the things that no one really values. When you go to the store and your kids all look like a disaster, but you had some really great quality time, like, what's better, the way everybody looks or the love that you shared with them that day? And I do the same thing on Sunday morning. It's like, for a while, Sunday mornings were horrible. I would just be this very mean person because I wanted to be at church at this time to get everything ready. And then all of a sudden I was like, Randy, your kids are going to hate church if you keep just being this monster to them every morning just so you can be on time. Like, what's better, to be a mom or to be on time? And I had to lay that down. And maybe I won't get everything done and set up when I need it to be, but they're the priority. And, you know, like when you play card games, like, and there's a trump card, and at the beginning of the hand, they say what trump is. And so you look at your hand and you're like, okay, now I know what to lay. Like, your priorities can be like a trump card. Like, I know that given this situation, I know what to choose. I'm going to make that decision now, so when the situation comes up, it won't even be hard because I'll be like, oh, that's easy. I know I'm going to choose Johnny. I know I'm going to choose my kids. I know I'm going to get up early because I have to leave somewhere at 7. I know that I'm going to have to make a sacrifice, so I'm going to go to bed early so I can get up and make sure I spend time with the Lord before we go. And priorities require sacrifice. You know, often we are overwhelmed by everything that we're trying to do because we have a hard time saying no. Like, I am so guilty of this. And my sister told me a long time ago, I was sharing with her, I can't do everything everybody wants me to do. I can't, you know, I try so hard, and then I'm just failing with my kids, or I failed in this friendship because I was so busy. And she's like, if you say yes to every single thing in your life, then you're really saying no to the most important things. You know, yes, I can help you move that day, but that means that, no, I can't practice baseball with you to practice and get ready for your game. You know, yes, I can be there early. Oh, shoot, no, God, I don't have time because I have to leave early, and I forgot that I was supposed to be there early. You know, like, when you say yes to every single thing, you are saying no, which is hard to fathom in a way, but like, you are, and you're making sacrifices that you don't want to make, because at the end of the day, that's when you feel frustrated and you have that mom guilt. And so to overcome this horribly guilty feeling that we always have is to focus on the unseen, to see that, you know, it's better to not look good. It's better to forget to wear makeup, but remember your kid. and don't leave them at home, right? So, um, when you have a clear picture of what's really important to you, you have no problem laying down the less important things. So I just really hope that we can all weigh everything. When we're working on something and we get hit with an interruption, weigh it out and be like, it's okay if I don't get this done, because this is God's way. And God's way is always better. And I can accomplish so much and do so much in a day and still feel disappointed because I didn't do it God's way. There's a story I heard on the radio, and I thought it really fit in well. And it was the story about two men were traveling through the desert all night long. And as they were walking, they heard a voice, and it said, "Pick up some pebbles, and in the morning, you will be both happy and sad." So they, grabbed some pebbles and put them in their pocket, and they're walking all night. And when the sun came up, they remembered what the voice had said, and they pull out of their pocket, and they see that the pebbles had turned into diamonds. And they were happy, cool, we have diamonds. But then they were sad that they didn't pick up more pebbles, because then they'd have more diamonds. And man, it just hit me so hard. At the end of the day, we maybe did a few things right, but then you look around and you're like, wow, I could have picked up some more pebbles. I could have done more. I mean, every mom feels like that. We could do more. And when we prioritize, when we embrace the unseen tasks that no one knows, embrace the conversations, does any other moms feel like the most meaningful and heartfelt conversations happen at bedtime when you're done and you're just go to bed, and they're like, but why does God love me? Or this is the one that we get all the time. If Satan is our enemy, shouldn't we pray for him? I don't know. I don't think so. But they do, when they need help with something that they don't need help with. Can you help me get dressed? You're 8 years old. I don't think I can help you get dressed. But a lot of times that's them just asking for some time with you. Sometimes we're so busy that our kids are like, oh, I really want to just hang out with Mom, but I can't just be like, hey, Mom, will you sit with me? So I'll ask her for help, and she'll come sit with me. And, that kind of breaks my heart in a way. So, help them with something they don't need help with, Be there for them, sit next to them. And it's not hard to have a conversation with a kid. Usually they don't even really want to talk about much. You just sit next to them. It's usually pretty sufficient. But, doing all of those things and seeing their need, seeing their real need, they don't need the coolest toys. They don't need cleats to play t-ball. They need love. They need you to hear them, to be a good listener. And when you do hear that, and you hear what they really need, the unseen things in their life that other moms don't notice, when you're at school and all these other moms made all these really cool gifts for all the kids in the classroom for Christmas, and you're like, I brought M&Ms, but that's a seen thing that is supposed to make you feel like a better mom, but it doesn't. It doesn't make you feel like a better mom, because the whole time you're making these crazy things, you're not spending time with your kids. So, all of those little things that you do, those things that are touching the hearts of our children, that are letting God use us in his work in their lives, because they're his kids. They're actually not our kids. They're God's. And he's using us as a tool to help them grow into who he's called them to be. So doing all those are fixing our eyes on the unseen, and not the things that we can see that so many of us weigh ourselves by.